Our speaker is a professor at the Caraga State University. He obtained his Bachelor of Science in Biology at Mindanao State University and took his Master's in Biology at the Central Mindanao University. He finished his PhD in Botany at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He has a wide array of research interests, including computational ecology, environmental science, and aquatic biodiversity. He is currently the Research and Development Lead Implementer of the Caraga State University and the Program Leader Proponent for the Niche Centers in the Region, or the NICER project of Caraga State University. And he is also the EIDRB SMART Program very own field supervisor in Butuan City. So ladies and gentlemen, let us all give a warm virtual clap to Dr. Jess Jumawan.
Pleasant morning to all, and the project about Satoyama and Satoumi initiatives in collaboration with different universities in the Philippines. One site is implemented in Butuan City, so as one of the sites. So along with other sites in Visayas, which is in Leyte, and one is also in Bicol. All of these are simultaneously conducting assessments and in support of our project. So our my presentation this morning is on preliminary assessment on Flora and Fauna Assemblages of Satoyama and Satoumi in Butuan City. And we've been talking about SEPLs, or socio-ecological production landscapes, more often here. And that is our, we call it a mosaic of different ecosystem types. So we have a variety of those, and the goal is to manage, via interactions between ecosystems, so that we could be harness all the potential benefits or ecosystem services for human well-being, but at the same time, we preserve, or at least we conserve, preserve, and promote sustainability of our ecological systems or ecosystems. So this initiative in Japan is called Satoyama for such landscapes, and Satoumi is also consequently coined to refer the seascapes. So all of this would harness all the benefits, for human well-being, all of our benefits. At the same time, we preserve the integrity of our ecosystem, while we harness the ecosystem services and maintaining. So this is our intention, or our intent. And these are the frameworks that highlight the human nature interaction where it is expected to be at its best. I point out from Sir Buot's research himself. So that is our goal about this is SEPL's initiative anchored on this project. So the template that we follow for the Satoyama is from the Saito et al. In 2020, which is clearly presented in this infographics. So we have the ecosystem, and this is a mosaic. And in the nature, we have biodiversity of these ecological systems. And this is all what the Mother Earth gives for human beings to enjoy all of the benefits. But if we are not able to manage it, then we at the same time it will have a repercussion effect to us human beings if we are not going to manage what the Mother Earth offers to the human beings. So along with that are the ecosystem services of all our ecological systems. We have supporting services, regulating, culture, and provisioning. This has been mentioned in the past webinar series, so I'm not going to explain it further. And all of these ecosystem services will promote well-being or nature's benefits to people. So all of this can be harnessed if we remain this ecological system intact, no? So if we are going to preserve the ecological system, we would be able to harness. So almost ad infinitum, no? So if we are going to preserve these ecological systems. So nature's contributions to people will be preserved for a longer time. So it will promote human improvement or human well-being and quality of life. That is the goal of the Satoyama and Satoumi initiative. Right. So, ayun. So, the collaboration of projects from UPLB, UPOU, and partner agencies like Caraga State University and from Visayas State University and Bicol State University has following this kind of platform or format. So we have 4 major projects. So all of the projects contribute for the IDR smart blending of multimedia approach and Satoyama-Satoumi principles for building climate smart communities. Now, on the project one, we focus more of our effort is on the assessment of the biophysical environment in selected communities, which is vulnerable to climate change. So we identify the major ecosystems and so on and so forth. But at the same time, we also provide data on the ground for needed by the project 2, 3, and 4, so that we could be able to work on with the objectives of the EIDR rather, Be Smart program. All right. So why Butuan City? So the present of the mosaic of Satoyama and Satoumi landscapes is identified na in the past, no? And there is a close interaction between local people because we also have indigenous communities here, the Butuanons and the other Lumads, no? And all of these have a mosaic, no, of different ecosystems. And we know in Butuan, we are a couple of meters below sea level. So Butuan City is one of the areas in the Philippines that is highly vulnerable to climate changes. So water also from different municipalities and provinces in Agusan del Sur, Compostela Valley or the Davao de Oro now, and some parts in Davao, they empty via the Agusan Marsh. So in Agusan Sur and Compostela Valley previously or Davao de Oro now, we have Agusan Marsh system, no? And all of that during the Agusan Marsh act like a sponge. So during the rainy season, it absorbs a lot of water, and it releases downstream and towards via the Agusan River, and it empties in Butuan Bay area, which is passing through Butuan City. So the area is really prone to climate change, floodings, for example. We have regular occurrences of floodings. So for the identified Satoyama, we have one barangay in Barangay Masaw, and these are the different attributes. It's about 512, no? Or this is our Satoumis. No, sorry for that. We have 512 hectares composed of agriculture, aqua farming, residential, and commercial. And we have about this population, more than 2,000 population. While our Satoyama landscape in Barangay Tungao, sorry for that, we interchanged it. And on the other hand, Barangay Tungao has 14,000 hectares. This is a larger because this is formerly an forest industrial. So we have remnants here of secondary forest remnants. We have the NALCO previously, the Nasipit Lumber Company, which would have area reserved for forest areas. No, so the timber is harvested, no, by the NALCO, and we have timber-based, no, industrial. At the same time, we have agricultural areas, no, and residential as well, with a population of more than 6,000 individuals. So these are our identified locations or area of interest. This one is our Satoyama mangroves, Barangay Masaw, and these are our areas. No, so here we consolidated seaward, the middle, and then the landward mangrove types. No, so in the Philippines we have species uh, that are highly adapted for seaward. So that is our basis for identifying seaward, middle, and landward sites. In the Satoyama landscape in Barangay Tungao, we have the remnant of a primary forest now grows into a secondary forest, but it is now an agroforest. So now may mga plantings na rin. And we have here the agro-ecosystems and grasslands, mainly grasslands, or we call it scrubland na rin, no? And we have here the riparian ecosystems along with other land uses na rin. So these are the major ecosystem types that we have identified. And for the pre-assessment activities, before the project started, we have so many meetings, different layers of meetings from the UPLB, UPOU, and different state universities until we came up with the MOA signing. And then we have the orientation for the program level, and then we have the project level orientations. And there are several layers also of that. And along the way, we have involved our stakeholders, no? So we have here the different LGUs, our students, and other partners. Then before that, we had a program level training, but Flora and Fauna, the program research program designed which strategy will be implemented for the Satoyama and Satoumi landscape data gathering, in the field. And we there were virtual trainings, and those principles we also perform it before we conducted. We had our own training also here, so that we could be able to execute all of the needed, no? So parameters will be measured once we go in the field, no? Because it's not easy when you go in the field and then you forgot something. So we had our own version of training as well in preparation. And along with a series of different coordination with the CENRO, the DNR, the LGU in Butuan City, and then the barangays, no? Different, the 2 barangays. And we have on-site evaluations and visitations before we conducted, and we went to a lot of people, no? And then we had the gratuitous permit application. In our case, we have a good relationships with the DNR here. So every time that we visited, they always give us a very warm welcome, no? So hopefully after this, we also presenting our results to our partners in DNR, no? And then we have the field sampling, no? Biophysical assessments. And this is the project based methodology that is implemented throughout the Philippines, and that is also implemented in Butuan City. And we have here the processing of the soil and other environmental parameters. Then we have the vegetation sampling procedures, and then the data analysis. And these are the flora assessment we perform in the field for both Satoyama and Satoumi landscape. And we have involved our personnel and our partners, and some of our students were also present in the field doing along with our research activity, no? So mga thesis students in particular. Then we also have the fauna assessment. So we have here the program level methodology implemented also in Butuan. Then we have here the different faunal groups and the different measurements and data analysis. So this morning I will be presenting our initial findings, no? And still until now we are still consolidating our data, and we have gathered tons of information from the field, and it will take us some time to process everything. So these are our actual faunal assessment activities conducted day and night and early morning, of course. This is how the fauna sampling was performed. And then the measurements, no, and then the other parameters data. Now, this is result in Satoumi in Barangay Masaw. Here we have 7 amphibian species, 3 rodent, 20 mangrove species. All of these are 3 pa lang yung aming na-consolidate. But we have data already sa shrubs and other vegetation, no? Pero what we'll be presenting are mainly on the trees because as we have said, hindi pa namin na complete yung data analysis. And we have 14 species on birds and 11 reptiles. In the barangay Tungao, which is our Satoyama, we have 9 amphibian species. We have 5 rodents, and some of these could change. Maybe my addition or the same identification, but this is more likely our confident identification as of the moment. And we have 19 species of birds and 17 reptiles, and we have 76 different plant species in our Satoyama landscape. So this will be the baseline data for the Satoyama and Satoumi landscape. Should we proceed on permanently relating this to Butuan City to be the Satoyama and Satoumi, no? So hopefully the next step would be something like that. So there are a total of 98 floral species and faunal species is about 59. So I think we are confident that we have these results presented, no, majority of the species in the area. Although if we stage some more, maybe there will be additional couple of species. But our estimate is that about 90% of the species are already covered in our sampling effort. So in terms of endemicity, we have 7 flora endemics and 23 faunal endemics. So there are 5 amphibians, 8 reptile species and bird species, and all of these are based on IUCN in our DAO, no, DNR. So in terms of conservation status, 94 are least concerned, 7 are vulnerable, 6 are nearly threatened, and 2 are endangered, no, identified species. So these are some of the results or pictures of the flora in terms of endemicity, in their status as threatened or vulnerable. We have here the following species that are native: the agatis, then the shorea, and then all of the Philippine endemic trees, no? So we focus here on trees, and here the initially identified as shrubs, no? So these are the list and the different sources. We have here the DAO and then the IUCN status, of which we based our classification. And in terms of the fauna, these are the different endemics, threatened, and vulnerable fauna. So we have here different amphibians, reptiles, the birds, and even butterfly flora. So I'm going to skip on this a little bit, and these are the list, no, according along with the IUCN and Philippine Red List status. And these are the characteristic of the species indices or diversity indices. So we have species richness, abundance, Simpson and Shannon diversity. We have dominance and evenness. These are the characteristics of different indices in the various sampling plots. So we have the total of 23 and 23 plots for Satoyama and Satoumi sites respectively. So this one is the presentation on the profile of the plots, sampling plots in Flora, also in Barangay Tungao. So here we could be able to see that the fauna, no, herpeto fauna, we have here three transects that would correspond to major ecosystem types. So here we have the transect 2, which is more prominent in terms of herpetofauna, which is our agro scrubland, no? The agro grassland ecosystem. And we also have transect 2 for both Shannon and Simpson diversity for the same ecosystem type. All right, no? So here, in terms of the, all right, so here in Barangay Tungao also, no? Okay, so this one is the characteristic of the trees that we have measured. Oh, sorry. Here in Barangay Masa, which is a Satoyama-Satoumi site, our mangroves are more prominent in the seaward and landward, but the bigger three metrics, the DBH, the total height, merchandable height, and then the crown cover or the crown spread are basically so when you go to the landward, the mangroves just basically increases in its sizes. We have computed the species importance value along the relative values of relative frequency. Sorry about that. We have, in the mangroves, we have the top 5 species important values, which is Abyssinia officinalis, Abyssinia alba, Rhizophora apiculata, Abyssinia marina, and Rhizophora mucronata. And we performed cluster analysis and ordination using a Bray-Curtis index of similarity. And here is our 3 main ecosystem types. But now this could be an indicator that there already a mixing of the plots, no? So meaning to say some areas that are characterized by mostly seaward have the same resemblances na sa middle ward, no? And from the middle to landward, there's already a similarity of those characteristics in terms of sampling plots. So we have identified that there are 3 major communities, and in terms of the relationships of these communities, the seaward and then the middle are more similar. So there is a overlapping of the characteristics, and the community C, which is our landward, is completely different from the other. So this one is based on the abundance data. So all of the data analysis are performed using the R software, using different ecological packages. So in terms of the community structure, we have here the different species, no? In the cluster, we perform characteristics of the plots. Here we have the associated species or the species determinants in each community type. So here in this kind of analysis, we could see that the community A, our seaward, and B have are more similar, no? So in this gradient, we have shown that the direction of community A or the seaward is towards resemblances with community B, and then the landward is somewhat different from these 2 major community types. So here we have in Barangay Tungao as well. In Barangay Tungao, we have the agroforest, which is a remnant of a primary forest, and now beginning to resemble na into a primary forest. But there's already planted agricultural plantations. And then we have agroecosystem and grassland and riparian, no? So these are our characteristics. The agroforest and agroecosystem has more number of individuals because people are beginning to planting more species, no? So here we also have agroforest has a better performance in terms of by 3 metrics. And in terms of species importance values, Shorea contorta is the highest. We have Cocos nucifera, this already planted, and then planted also as the Gymnelina arborea, and then we have Acacia mangum and Spathodea campanulata, no? So these are agroforests. So there's already a remnant of the natural trees and then planted trees. No, that is the story that we could get in the species importance values. So we perform also a similar procedure, and one ecosystem type is composed of agroforest and and riparian. No, there's a similarity here, and the agroforest mainly, and this is mainly agroecosystem and grassland characteristics. So this is very surprising to us that agroecosystem has similarity with the riparian. So the way we view it is that the riparian is also a remnant from the primary forest. So there is a natural resemblances in terms of the species. And here we also have a similar profile of the three communities, and the distinct community is the riparian one. So these are the species plots profile. These are the influential species of our three communities. And at the same time, our gradients of community A and B are more similar, agroforest and then the agroecosystem grassland, no? Because of the similar plantations, involvement of humans to plant more trees and more crops, no? And for the environmental factors, we measured or we computed environmental parameters using principal component analysis. So this one is the result in Barangay Masaw. There are 10 effective principal components. So this is a data reduction technique, so that we consolidated the data into principal components, but at the same time maintaining the integrity of our volume of our data. No, so our first principal components is comprising 30 and 24% respectively, and that is what we used in our data analysis, the highest contributing principal components. So in terms of the principal components one, what are those variables that are influential in PC1? We have the smaller particles, the clay in the silt, which is associated with the diversity indices. For the principal component 2, we have the three metrics, the DBH, tree height, mercantable height, and then the ground cover, which is inversely related to gravel. No, so we portray that into a biplot, and these are the different contributions. And we could see that the diversity indices are associated with the clay and then the silt. At the same time, fine silt also, no, or fine sand, no, smaller particles. And and we have also the three parameters which are associated with the evenness and then the elevation. Meaning to say, as you go to the landward, your tree metrics becomes better, which is also our finding in the previous analysis. The tree becomes bigger, no? So these are inversely related with the bigger particles, no? So meaning to say your mangroves grow best to smaller soil particles. So that is what the data is telling us. And in the Barangay Masa or the Satoyama-Satoumi, we have overlaid the sampling plots along with those environmental parameters, and similar story can be told, no, on that line. So this is basically data ordination of the environmental parameters to the sampling plots. So in the principal components analysis in Barangay Tungao, we have similar. We have 30% as the first PC and then 70% the second PC. That is what we used in the analysis. So environmental, the variables associated with principal components 1 are mainly three metrics: the DBH, total height, and mercantable height, which is inversely correlated to the species richness. So this is in PC2, we have the smaller particles associated with the three parameters. So here we could see that the species richness, Shannon, the diversity indicators are are opposing, no, the tree height. So meaning to say, the species beginning to increase, then you will have smaller trees. No, so something like that is the story in our Satoyama site. And then the fine sediments are associated with evenness and elevation, no? So meaning to say, as you grow higher, you have a smaller as you go lower, rather, you have a smaller soil particles downslope, okay, the smaller. And then this is opposite with the higher, bigger particle size, which is associated with abundance. So meaning to say, the higher abundance has a bigger soil particles. And the smaller particles in the lower elevation, particularly in the riparian ecosystem, you have here the silt, the fine sand, and the clay. It promotes evenness, no? So something like that is the story in our Satoumi landscape. And this is very important in understanding our landscapes, no? So here we have we have displayed, no, the biplot of the environmental parameters with the associated plots on our three ecosystem types. So the data that we have gathered here will greatly support or be able to describe our socio-ecological landscapes, no, our identified Satoyama and Satoumi landscape. So this is very important component, so that knowing the different species, what are the species in terms of their endemicity, in terms of their status, and the relationship of the community is very crucial, so that we be able to know and determine or describe our ecosystems. So far, these are the data that we have collected and analyzed, and we have gathered data, and we are only a handful, no, to analyze and to do all of this data analysis. And that's my presentation. I would like to thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you very much.
To elaborate more on the webinar topic, we will now proceed with the discussion. Our guest discussant is a professor at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He obtained his Bachelor of Science in Forestry and Master of Science in Community Development at UP Los Baños. He also obtained his Doctor of Philosophy in Environmental Science at the Seoul National University in South Korea. His research interests are climate change mitigation, coastal forestry, community development, and forest sustainability. He is recognized by the National Academy of Science and Technology Philippines, or NAST Philippines, as one of the outstanding young scientists for 2022 in recognition of his pioneering research on mangrove blue carbon and tree biomass modeling. Recently, he is appointed as the new director of the Forestry Development Center, College of Forestry and Natural Resources, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. So let us all give a warm virtual welcome to Dr. Dixon T. Guevania.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks to Dr. Jun Buot for the kind invitation to be the discussion of this very good paper. Congratulations, Dr. Jess Jumawan of Caraga State. Nice to see you again. And I'm happy to listen to your presentation. Can't help but also share my recent engagement somewhere in Butuan. I visited it, I think 4 weeks ago. I was there, and with that engagement under the DOST RD Lead program of NRCP. We went, my partner is actually the ASCAT, no, Agusan State College for Agriculture and Technology, and we visited this potential sites for a collaborative research, not only between UPLB and ASCAT, but hopefully with the other universities, of course, of Caraga State, no. So we visited this nice place in Lake Mihaba, no, in Bunawan, Agusan del Sur, where Lolong was actually captured, no. And biodiversity is still there. I mean, people are, enjoying the benefits of nature, like this one, the lag, no. So it's one of the number one, no, how to say that, a local, not only local delicacy, but product, no, from the marsh. And although, this is a very nice marsh, but so many gray areas for studies. And as you know, no, to our listeners, this Agusan Marsh is connected with the study site of our dear friends in the EIADR CEPELS, no, headed by Dr. Jun Buot and with Dr. Jess Jumawan, no, the Agusan River. So Agusan Marsh, Agusan River. Just a few points that I would like to share in response to the presentation. Of course, we have to situate almost everything that we're doing, research, development on nature, on global trends or global movements like the recent COP26. It underscored the need for more visible investments and actions to fight climate change, particularly capitalizing on nature. And as many of you are already familiar with this, I would say concepts or terminologies. We have the nature-based solutions, eco DRR, on disaster risk reduction, and ecosystem-based adaptation. The ASEAN Center for Biodiversity, which I'm involved in one of their component projects. We're looking at the EBA initiatives, some success or good practices being done in ASEAN Heritage Park. So this is basically the way forward. We have to capitalize on nature. We have to promote that nature should be, not only revived but restored. I would say that perhaps over the past 2 decades or the past decade, bias, is really in favor on renewable energy. It's really high time that we look at the wide myriad potential and benefits, advantages if we invest on nature-based climate solutions. So yeah, this particular topic on biodiversity, assessment given to us, the way forward is really to take the next step on how we can integrate it in a broader framework. Particularly, now we have this principle of ecosystem-based adaptation, whereby biodiversity conservation is just one of the pillars, no? For EBA to happen, conservation of biodiversity should, contribute to adaptation of people and ecosystem, no? And also by doing that, people receive benefits. Their culture, traditions are also enriched and conserved. And that basically, by having this EBA, then for sure, sustainable development will surely happen, or will be very much visible. And with all this, now, although the presentation for today is just initial study, a baseline perhaps for some of the ecosystem examined, in Butuan and nearby areas. Now, information should also be elevated in a way that they can be used for planning. And or actually, there's a good news that the NAST formulated this Pagtanaw 2050 and STI foresight, whereby where I'm happy personally because there is a specific section on blue economy. I'm working on mangroves, and for a very long time, mangroves are treated as not as important as other ecosystem. But now there's a blue economy, and hopefully, having this Pagtanaw 2050 strategic foresight, we can anchor all our research and later on, translating them into plans, for the local government, national government, and aligned with this Pagtanaw 2050. Okay, let me also share that I can relate. I can relate with this engagement of yours on CEPELS, because we also had one way back 2021. But it's with another flavor. It's CEPELS with transformative change. So we did some studies, and let me just share briefly this one chapter in that book published by the authors Yamuko Kesa, and their co-authors, reconciling community livelihood needs and biodiversity conservation. Because the focus of that book is now you have sepals, how it helps, create transformative changes. So right here, I just borrowed this photo from the book, but they included in their chapter community tree nursery at Chawaya Forest, where they're raising native species, beekeeping in the forest, tourist campsite, butterfly farming. And these are basically capitalizing on biodiversity to help people, improve their living condition, income sources, and also through rehabilitation, protection of the forest, they can have this livelihood that will also make them socioeconomically, in a way, resilient to the climate change impact. We also had one study, we did this case study in Alitas, but focusing on mangroves, of course, and looking at how people view sepals, no, such ecological protected landscape, how that particular approach or context of conservation help, them perceive or realize that mangrove is very important. So we have this, framework, but, straightforward. Satoumi, if you have that, Satoyama, that will lead to resilience, climate resilience, and um, transformative change. And of course, mangroves, like mentioned by Dr. Jess Mawan, they were able to capture some sites, no? And yeah, it's the same, no, it's very important player or ecosystem in our landscape, seascape, because they serve, mangrove serves as a hinge. They connect land and sea, no? That's why they have critical ecosystem functions. They trap, the eroding sediments before they damage the corals. No, they are also filters. If Agusan Marsh is the kidney, it's at the coast is another filter. So they say that marshes are like a kidney of the ecosystem. They filter first. What more if you have a marsh, then river, and then at the end of the river you have mangroves. So you are protecting a lot of ecosystem, particularly the coastal. Yeah, and then very important that we understand, like in any problem, that we know the deepest reason, the foundational problem for mangrove deforestation, for example. Visible issues include illegal cutting, land use conversion, reclamation, you name it. But under that, we have to target foundational problem. And this includes the limited local commitment because of tenure insecurity and many others, poor governance, though we have a lot of policies, but the implementation is always limited. And of course, R&D gaps. No, not much, desires to study on mangroves. So we have to work on that particular gap. And this case study that I would like to share, although it's not really more on the biodiversity conservation, but we no for some angles relate to that because this area used to be healthy, diverse area. No, I mean a lot of mangrove species, and because of rampant fish pond conversion, got damaged, and they eventually left the fish pond owners, and community took over to rehab it. No, they started planting. Although in this photo, they only planted the rhizopora. But I would say that if you're going to look at the ecological context, there's no need to rehab this because, obviously the nature is already taking its course of rehab, of recovering. No, you just leave it, protect it, and then sooner or later, 7 years, 10 years, it will become, vegetated again. And why Quezon? It's because of the disaster, like 2004 flood killing 1,600 people. So we asked the people, the community, no, what's the role of the mangroves and its biodiversity? No, many of them said that our resilience to climate change, like floods, is commensurate to the area of mangroves that we protect and keep, and mangroves provide a shield from typhoon, strong wind, floods, and also additional income whenever we join, planting activities of the government and private sector. And given all those values, we want our mangroves to be a place where, we can bring our guest tourists, no, so they're also planning for a tourism enterprise there. They even deputize fish warden. No, the local community is very active because of those many appreciation of the values. No, they even have this traditional knowledge that instead of, during the event of typhoon, strong typhoon, some of them, instead of going to the evacuation area, they put up temporary shelter or nipa hut inside the mangrove. That's very, very, how to say that, very smart, no, because they are protected with, storm surge. Perhaps there's a little flood coming in from the sea because of the increasing level during a storm, event, but they are protected from tidal surge and also strong winds. Diba? And the best way forward is to do it collaborative. That's what we found out. Main players should be there doing the lead, which is, the local community, the local government. They are the main, actors. But they need much support in terms of research, from like us, academy, and DNR, of course, should be also visible, And with this collaborative management, of course, there will be proper engagement in sensible management planning, rehabilitation the right way, science-based, and eventually will lead to, the transformative change, human well-being, improved and ecosystem well-functioning. I am happy to see this framework. This is what we need in doing all our, not only research and studies, but as a platform for creating policies and plans. No, this EIDR Be Smart. No, the project one provides the foundation of biophysical. It's very important that we understand what's already there. And project two, of course, the assessment of disaster. That is prospectively, because by 2050, 2100, Mindanao is expected to experience very, very long drought. So that is something that is quite alarming. That's why we understand our situation today and plan for that kind of potential future, which scientists are saying is very likely. No, and Mindanao is an agricultural center. We have a lot of areas, the growing crops for not only for local but for also for export demands. Yeah, and then of course, project for communities. That's my how to say that, one of my interests. And what's next? No, let me end with this. Some not question, but perhaps some insights that I have after hearing the presentation. So biodiversity monitoring. I think it's we have to identify the threats and the hotspots. Although I got that this is a initial study, but very important that we target. We know the drivers and threats. Are there really threats? And where are there? Where are the hotspots? In integrated watershed and river basin management approach. That is, we call it reach to reap, but with the, looking at the Agusan River, it's connected with the Agusan Marsh. And the Agusan Marsh has a lot of, water sources upstream as far as, if I remember it right, Bukidnon. And we have to know the dynamics, the interconnectivity, because if you only look at, doing management at, the outlet or the downstream, and the problems upstream are, continue to persist, that will be very, very challenging. It will keep on repeating and keep on worsening. Now, while we are trying to solve those issues downstream, still poor at best because we cannot address those. So we have that kind of context. We need that kind of context, the integrated watershed. And we have to target my main issues by doing this integrated watershed approach. I believe that, as I have visited and have asked some people during my stay there, mining may be illegal or legal. Elsewhere connected to the Agusan Marsh and Agusan Rivers, still, I would say as a, a subtle issue. planned deforestation activities, not only about, timber cutting, but even, where do we approve the road construction? For example, somewhere near the Agusan Marsh, they have constructed the road. What could be the potential, impacts of those, development? Other issues, and perhaps, very interesting to look, the agar wood cutting, no, and talking about biodiversity, what's the role of this agar wood? But now many people are somehow crazy because I mean, not crazy, but really, interested to invest on this because of so many economic benefits. But growing them on the wild or cutting illegally from the wild, it should be looked, because it is a major gray area. Massive sedimentation, as I, visited just one part of the Gusan Marsh, which is the Mihaba Lake. It was very shallow. And when I asked what could be the possible reason, before they said that it's deep, no? Even though the water level is changing, but relatively deeper in the past, but now it's shallower. That means it's sedimentation problem. And where are those sediments coming from? Maybe, too much agriculture, or, I mean, mining, all those sorts, no? And we have to somehow include that, if not on this particular study being done by your team, but maybe a proposal in the future to look at it, interconnectively and collaboratively, could be led by SUCs, no? Climate change mitigation potential, because along, the Agusan River and also downstream, we have protected areas. We have Ramsar sites like the Agusan Marsh, peatlands, no, like Taka and Pugan, and all the mountains, no, around Butuan city, those are potential for conservation with, value adding on forest carbon project. So what could be the policy recommendation after this? No, hopefully the LGU plans are very much reflective of the CEPAL's context. No? Not only thinking about, biophysical, but linking biodiversity, linking livelihood, culture, and situating it to be climate proof, should I say, no? Because the plan should be, responsive to the future impacts, future, to say that disasters, no, or future changes in our climate. And community-based livelihood programs capitalizing on biodiversity, like the one did in Kenya, so aligned with CEPAL. So basically, that's it. Again, thank you very much, and congratulations for your integrated study. Have a nice day. God bless you.